And now I'm going to just move us right into the profane. Today is the healing heart of joy. We started last week with the healing heart of love, and this is the healing heart of joy. So here I'm starting. I once wanted to become an atheist, but I gave it up. No holidays. So here I stand before you, a minister. You know, the secret, they say, to a good sermon is to have a good opening and a good closing, and to keep those two as close together as possible. But I did find there is one phrase that absolutely wakes up the congregation. And in conclusion, I don't know why some people change churches. What difference does it make which one you stay home from? Ooh, ooh, ba-dum-bum. So why did it take the Buddha forever to vacuum his couch? He has no attachments. You know how to make God laugh? You know that saying, right? How do you make God laugh? Tell God your plans. Yeah. You know how to make God laugh even more? Say, this is mine. And you know what makes God laugh out loud? When a doctor says, I cured you. So what happens when a Buddhist becomes totally absorbed in his computer work? He enters nerdvana. Laughing yet? This is the healing heart of joy. This is the healing heart of joy. You know, the joy is right there all the time. It is within us all the time. Voltaire said this. He said, God is a comedian playing to an audience too afraid to laugh. God is a comedian playing to an audience too afraid to laugh. I think that he's talking about us. We tend to take things a little too seriously sometimes. You know, but in the words of that sage and mystic, Sir Bugs Bunny, he said this. He said, don't take life too seriously. You're never going to get out alive. You know, and people say we serve coffee here after service to make sure everybody's awake when they drive home. I love it. I just think that's too funny. Well, so one Sunday, this minister said, next week I am going to speak to the sin of lying. So to be prepared for my talk next week, you must go home and read Mark 17. So the following Sunday, the congregation is there, and the preacher said, okay, who read Mark 17 to be prepared for my speech on the sin of lying? And half the congregation raised their hands. And he said, Mark only has 16 chapters, so I'm going to start my talk now. And then there is the story about the pastor who got up and said, we have good news, we have some bad news. The good news is we have enough money to pay for the purchase of our new church building. Yay! And then they said, well, what is the bad news? And he said, the bad news is it's still in your pockets. Oh, come on, this is too funny. Woman goes to the confessional and she says, you know, forgive me, Father, for I have sinned, and I am suffering from the sin of pride. Every time I go past a mirror, I just look at myself and I go, God, I am so beautiful. And the priest says, oh, honey, that's not a sin, that's just a mistake. You know, they started a world ministry of prayer for atheists, and the phone rings and rings and rings, but nobody picks it up. Oh, come on, this is funny stuff. This is funny stuff. You know, here's the thing. Here's what Ernest Holmes said. We need to accept the fact that the universe is planned for creative joy, and that we possess the ability to be happy in it. God wants us to be happy people, and God's mind has given us the capacity to know and to express joy. And as we do this, we fulfill our inheritance. Isn't that wonderful? We fulfill our inheritance. We were born to be happy people. We were born to be creatively engaging, happy, joyous creatures. Joy is a quality of God, and we are that. And we are created in the image and likeness of the Creator. Joy is a creation of God. It is meant for us to be happy. Joy Spirit is joy, and we are that. We are that. And so we've done some laughing here this morning already, and it's kind of lightened, right? It lightens the mood, it lightens our heart, and yet nothing's changed in our lives, right? You still have the same life that you had when you walked in, and it's lightened it up. We still have work challenges. Maybe that hasn't changed. Nothing's been resolved. We still have relationship challenges. Maybe nothing has been changed or solved there either. But we're lighter when we're joyous. And we can have that. We can experience that. We can be that in the midst of our challenges and in the midst of our false beliefs or our illusions of separation. That joy is still present, like the sun is always there, even behind the rain clouds. It's always there. It is always with us. We have that ability to demonstrate the joy of God regardless of what we're going through. You know, burglars just robbed a wig factory very early this morning. Cops are out combing the area. Oh, it's funny. It's funny. Okay, Proverbs 17:22 said this: "A merry heart doeth good like a medicine, but a broken spirit drieth the bones." A merry heart doeth good like medicine. And we know that, right? Norman Cousins wrote that whole book about the medical benefits of happiness and laughter and how it just releases, different enzymes in our bodies and makes us happier. And Ernest Holmes said this. He said, in this thing called you, the spirit is neither sad nor depressed. If you would catch the vision of the joy which should be yours, you must dry your tears. You must lay aside your fears. You must think from the inspirational center within you, which is nothing less than the divine in you singing its song. Isn't that a wonderful thing to think about? The divine in you singing its song. That is the joy of God. And it is always within us. It's always within us to be able to do that, to find that song and to sing that out loud. We fall, we fall into fear, into the illusion of loneliness, into the illusion of despair when we forget who we are. When we forget who we are, Spirit is with us and as us. Always, always. We exist as God and company. We're always God and company, and we're the company. God is running the show, and we are the company. And we always exist as that. Spirit is always within us. So it is always in our ability to demonstrate any one of those qualities at any point in time because they are all there. We show up as a majority regardless of where we are because God is always within us. Always. And so we have all of those qualities within us: abundance and beauty and balance and joy, freedom and love and peace and power and unity and wisdom and wholeness. They're all within us. And we get to pick and choose which ones we're going to demonstrate and to what extent we're going to demonstrate them. If we were to remember that all the time, if we were to remember in every situation we're in, I am simply God showing up in form. If we could remember that, we would not fall into the illusion of separation. We wouldn't fall into the illusion of fear. We wouldn't fall into the illusion of loneliness. We would never succumb to fear. There is nothing to fear. We are one with the power that created the universe. What can be more powerful than that? When we remember there is nothing to fear, and there is everything to be happy about. Because every good quality exists as us. Every good quality exists as us. We are the place where Spirit shows up in form. We are the place where Spirit gets to do its work, gets to know of itself as us, as human. How powerful is that? Ernest Holmes in Discover a Richer Life said, "Life is not just something to be endured. It is to be lived in joy, in the fullness without limit. We must get rid of the old, morbid theological concepts. I place no value on anything unless it brings gladness, unless it brings love, friendship, the ability to laugh, and to make me feel that every person I meet, if I knew him, I would love him. He is the same as I am. He is as good as I am, having the same heart, the same bloodstream, and the same divinity." What a way to live life. Every person I meet, I know I love. They are just like I am. Same heart, same blood, same divinity. We're all walking each other home, like Ram Dass said, right? And happiness is good for our health too, isn't it? How many studies have we read about it? It's been correlated to better health, both in individuals and in communities. And studies have suggested that states of happiness are associated with lower stress levels, better immune functions. And I got this off the website ShareCare. It says, happy people have younger hearts, younger arteries, and a younger real age. Happy people recover more quickly from surgery, cope better with pain. They have lower blood pressure, and they have longer life expectancy than unhappy people. Studies also suggest happy people have stronger immune systems. They are less likely to get colds and flus, and when they do, their symptoms tend to be milder. And not surprisingly, happy people they're better at looking at their own health. When people's happiness levels improve, so do their health behaviors. They exercise more, they wear sunscreen, and they get regular checkups. It pays to be happy. So how do we get happy? How do we get happier? How do we get happier? We keep saying we're a practical spirituality. So give me something to do. What makes happy people happy? Well, I just happen to know. I was reading how stuff works, and here are some suggestions. Happy people hang out with happy people. Hang out with smiling people. Smiling people usually lift our whole attitude. Number 2, be a smiling person yourself. And this is where laughter yoga comes in. Who teaches laughter yoga, right? Okay, am I right? This is where laughter yoga comes in. Because even if you're not tend to be a happy, smiling person, you go and you practice being happy and smiling and laughing, even if you have nothing to laugh about. The very act of laughing itself creates a lighter mood and gets us happy and gets those hormones, right, flowing and all that stuff. It makes us happy just to be a smiling person ourselves. Treat yourself to healthy food. Healthy meals are happier than processed meals. Absolutely. Make yourself healthy food. Another way is to test your green thumb. Get a garden, make a garden, even if it's a little window garden, even if it's a little herb garden. Planting something and growing something and tending to something makes us happier. Did you know that? I didn't know that one. Yeah. Something else, try the 5% trick. That's what they say, try the 5% trick. And that means I don't have to get it all done, I just need to do 5% of that today. So if you have those big projects that are weighing you down, you just go in and you say, I'm going to do 5% today, just 5%. And you take a little bite, and you take a little bite. These are little penguin steps. You don't have to do the whole big overwhelming job all at once. But just tell yourself you're going to work 5% more on that project today than you did yesterday. Crank up the tunes. Okay? Music is the soundtrack of our lives. Try the oldies if you resonate with that. Put the new stuff on if you like it. Whatever, classical, it doesn't matter, Little peaceful, easy feeling, baby. Whatever, whatever. Crank up the tunes. Music is the soundtrack of our lives. It makes us happier. Use your money to do something nice for someone else. Okay, it doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be gigantic. Buy somebody a cup of coffee. It makes us feel better when we're buying something for somebody, even something little. Go do it. Volunteer for a favorite cause. Spend a couple of hours. Go, serve in a soup kitchen or make meals or whatever. Just volunteer to be on a board of some nonprofit you enjoy. Something. Spend a few hours volunteering for a cause that's close to your heart. It makes you happy. Go work out once in a while. I know we just all love our gyms, We have our gym membership. We go the first 2 weeks in January, and then it could be a singles bar after that. We don't care. We're not there. So work out once in a while. And if you do nothing other than walk, they say walking is one of the best things for us. So walk wherever you're going. Just walk a little while. And the last thing it says is get a pet. Get a pet. And I swear by this one, really, adopt a little creature that depends on you. A little cat, a little dog, a ferret. Well, maybe not a ferret. Maybe a gecko. I don't know, a tortoise, something. A little something. A little companion. It opens our hearts and it lets our love out. Opens our heart and it lets our love out. You know, being happy is good for our soul. And it's healthy for us. And knowing that whatever we're going through, whatever challenge it is, it too shall pass. It too shall pass. Makes us happier. Regardless of what challenge we're facing, the joy of God is still within us. It's still there. We can still tap into it, regardless of what struggles we're facing, regardless of what challenges we're facing. The joy of God still exists in our soul. Happiness is our birthright. It is our birthright. Joy is a quality of God, and therefore it is a quality of us. We are born to be happy, joyous souls experiencing life. Ernest Holmes said this in Journey into Life. He said, "We must enter into the joy of life if we expect the joy of life to enter into us. Life has intended us to be glad. There's always a song when we know how to sing it, and there is always joy when we know how to find it. Life is not meant to be dreary, sad, forlorn, and hopeless. It is not meant to be a funeral dirge. It was meant to be a grand and sublime song of praise, a proclamation of joy through the acceptance of happiness and wholeness in God. God is happy, and if we wish to draw happiness into our experience, we must first unify ourselves with the happiness and joy that God is." He goes on to say, how can we believe in a weeping universe or a sad God or a melancholy first cause? Such concepts contradict the fundamental necessity of reality, that God is a synonym for wholeness. Is a synonym for wholeness. A person filled with joy must lavish it on others, must share it with them. In this way multiplies his own happiness. We should live each day as though it were complete and perfect within itself. Think about that. We should live each day as it is complete and perfect within itself. We should live each day as though the joy of the universe were ours now. Because it is. The joy of the universe is ours now. Don't postpone happiness. Not when I retire, or when I get that perfect job, or when I meet that perfect soul. Then I'll be happy. Be happy now. Be happy now. And so, with that, have you heard the one about? Horse walks into a bar. Bartender says, "Hey, bud, why the long face?" "Oh, I'd kill for a Nobel Peace Prize." Oh, think about it. Thank you. Always borrow money from pessimists. They don't expect it back. And all those who believe in psychokinesis, please raise my hand. The early bird may get the worm, but the second mouse gets the cheese. So how do you know when you've run out of invisible ink? And if your car could drive at the speed of light, would headlights work at all? And one last thing. Why do chicken coops have 2 doors? Because if they had 4, they'd be chicken sedans. Thank you so much.